Hello and welcome to another Tuesday Thunder playthrough with me, Rangy Rover. This time the first thing I'm going to tell you is to reduce the throttle sensitivity to 0 if you're going to take the Corvette or any of the Group 5 cars. Okay, so this is me in the main pane in the red Corvette. It's a tricky so-and-so and you can't go anywhere near full throttle in second gear unless you're absolutely straight. And it's very sensitive to any bumps on the tracks too. It's quite a short track. I think the laps are around about 107 or so. So we're going to do a slow motion run through with me in the red car and Dan in the blue car. This corner in particular, a lot of time to be gained if you can get the car to rotate. And to get the car to rotate, I've got the brake bias set to 53%, but that essentially makes sure that you lose the back end under brakes, which for me is desirable. It makes it want to turn into the corner. Okay, so as we come across the line, you'll see I managed to get across the line with a 107.4 more or less. This time you got Dan in the blue at the bottom and me in the red in the top right pane. We're on the brakes, trying to get it to turn in for this corner. You can see Dan's off the brakes earlier than I am. I'm probably carrying a bit more speed, but I think I hit the apex without hitting the curb, which is really important in these cars. You see I get a bit of a wiggle on, but I'm on the full throttle, full noise much before. And that's because Dan got himself onto the curb and didn't dare to go onto full throttle in second. And as we're coming down here, you're looking for your braking point. The braking point for me is one of the white lines on the left hand side, just before kind of bush shelter dealio. I think Dan brakes in a very similar position too. Here's the bush shelter deal. Onto the brakes. Jam it into third to try and get it to slow down. Quickly down into second. And this is when, for me, it provokes it to lose the back end. You can see I've got quite a bit more turn on as a result here than Dan, as Dan's really going way off the track at this point. We're both just tickling the throttle, and it is just a tickle to get it round this corner. But you've got to put a little bit on, otherwise it'll just understeer on you. Stay away from the curb on the left hand side, and there's a bump here. You cannot be on full noise until you've come off that bump. You see I'm actually on full noise on the grass. Probably not the right thing to be doing, but somehow I'll get away with it. And as we come along this bit of a straight here, we're up into fourth. Now I brake just underneath the kind of gantry structure you've got here, probably a little bit before actually, and jam it into third, and essentially try and lose the back end so you can get on the throttle earlier. So you can see I've actually managed to get it to turn quite violently, and I'm taking a big chunk of curb. Dan's got a bit more throttle on than I have at that point, but I'm carrying a good deal more speed. Into full noise, and then on the brakes and into second to get a slow to chuck her into this left here. Take as much of the curb as you dare. You see I'm ever so slightly ahead of Dan here. Just a tickle of throttle, not too much, because you really want to hug this right hand side, because otherwise it's off camber and it just takes you way to the wrong place. Now as we're coming down into this left hand turn, you can be on full noise in second because you're not in a high enough gear to make a difference, or high enough revs I should say. Throw it in and then give it a tickle of throttle to get her to come around this corner, and because you're quite low in the rev range you can get a lot of throttle down. I think Dan shies off from it until he's absolutely certain he's straight, and I think that makes quite a big difference to our laps. And just a run for the line now. I make it in about a 107.4 and Dan's about a 107.8 or so. Right, we'll watch me in the main pane and Dan in the top right now. See if they can spot any differences. We're both on the brakes at about the same moment for this right-hand corner. But I've got a bit of curb on because I'm trying to unsettle the back end. I want it to turn. It does. I'm clear of the curb. I can get quite a chunk of throttle on, but not all of it. You can't go all of it. And you see I've got a waggle on there until she's straight. But it does make a big difference if you can get your foot down. And we're about neck and neck at this point. Coming up here in third, up into fourth. Again, looking for the bus shelter dealio as my marker to brake. Onto the brakes. Jammer into third. Try and slow down on the brakes. Jammer into second, which will actually provoke the back end into losing it. And you can see I start to rotate quite a bit more than Dan. You can see I've got quite a bit more angle on, because Dan's understeering here. We've both got a little bit of throttle on, looking for the apex of this corner. We've both missed it by a country mile, ironically. And I'm coming up on the throttle, but not all of it until we're done with this bump. And I would say that Dan's was ever so slightly ahead there, but I think I maybe got my foot down a bit earlier, and that made a difference. I think it's this next left that makes a big difference for my lap. I think I brake underneath the gantry a bit later and provoke the back end to go, and that helps me turn into the corner. So on the brakes underneath the gantry, jam it into third. I'm carrying a good bit more speed than Dan at this point, but I'm taking a real liberty on the curb. Go out wide, don't press the loud pedal too far, but third's quite forgiving, to be honest. It won't light up the rears, at least not too much. Jam it down into second for this left-hander. Provoke it into letting go so that I can make a bit of a turn here. And then not too much throttle around this off-camber corner. It's really important. So only on the throttle when you're confident it'll take it to the edge of the track, and then on the brakes into the apex, and then gently on the throttle off the curb. But now you can whack it because you're quite low, you're only at 3,000 revs, it's not making peak torque, so you can really whack the throttle and get going in second. It wags its bum a bit, but you can still get going. Up into third and away. And there we have it. That's been another Tuesday Thunder playthrough with me, Rangy Rover. Thanks for watching. Cheers.